Have you ever shared your biggest dreams with someone, only to watch them crumble before they even began? Maybe you excitedly told a friend about a new opportunity, a life-changing decision, or a goal you were determined to achieve, only to feel your motivation fade, obstacles appear out of nowhere, and suddenly things didn't go as planned. Why does this happen? Is it just coincidence, or is there something deeper at play? In a world that encourages us to broadcast every detail of our lives, we often forget the power of discretion. The Bible warns us about the dangers of speaking too soon. Proverbs 21:23 reminds us, "Whoever keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps himself out of trouble." Yet society teaches us the opposite. Share, announce, and seek validation. But what if silence is actually a hidden weapon, a spiritual shield that protects not just our plans, but our peace? C.S. Lewis once said, "Humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less." What if keeping quiet about our ambitions isn't about secrecy, but about wisdom? What if by restraining our words, we allow God to work behind the scenes without interference? By the end of this video, you'll understand why some things should never be spoken about prematurely. You'll see how silence can guard your dreams, protect your energy, and align your plans with divine timing. Because sometimes, the greatest victories happen in silence, until the world has no choice but to take notice. Silence is often misunderstood. In a world where everyone is encouraged to speak their mind, share their plans, and seek validation, silence is seen as weakness or insecurity. But in reality, silence is power. It is a discipline, a form of wisdom that allows God to work in ways beyond our understanding. Proverbs 21:23 states, "Whoever keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps himself out of trouble." This simple truth holds a profound secret. Our words have consequences, and what we say too soon can often work against us. Think about it. How many times have you felt excited about a new idea, a big goal, or a major life decision, only to share it with someone and suddenly feel the energy drain out of you? Maybe they doubted you, questioned you, or even discouraged you. Their words planted seeds of fear and hesitation, and soon, what once felt possible started to feel impossible. This is not just psychological, it is spiritual. Luke 6:45 teaches us, "A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart, for the mouth speaks what the heart is full of." When we speak, we release the energy of our hearts into the world. But when we speak too soon, we risk exposing that energy to forces that may not be aligned with our purpose. The Bible repeatedly teaches about the importance of timing, patience, and trusting in God's plan. James 1:19 advises, "Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." Why? Because wisdom is found in silence. Silence allows you to observe, to listen, and to discern the right moment to act. It prevents unnecessary conflicts, misunderstandings, and distractions that can derail you from your purpose. Lewis once wrote about the unseen battles that take place in our hearts and minds. The greatest struggles are not always external. They happen internally, in the realm of our thoughts and emotions. When we speak prematurely, we invite external interference into what should be an internal process. Consider the story of Joseph in Genesis. As a young man, he had powerful dreams of leadership, dreams that foretold his future greatness. But instead of keeping them in his heart, he shared them openly with his brothers. Instead of receiving support, he was met with jealousy and hatred. His words provoked opposition that led to his suffering. If Joseph had remained silent, would his journey have been different? Perhaps. But his story teaches us a crucial lesson. Silence protects destiny. Proverbs 18:21 declares, "The tongue has the power of life and death." What we speak can either build or destroy, create or dismantle. This is why silence is not just a passive act, but an intentional one. It is an act of faith, a declaration that we trust God more than the validation of people. Think about Jesus himself. He performed miracles, healed the sick, and changed lives, yet he often withdrew to solitary places. He didn't seek recognition. He didn't boast about his power. In Mark 1:44, after healing a man with leprosy, he told him, "See that you don't tell this to anyone." Why? Because he understood the power of discretion. He knew that not every moment was meant for public display, that some things must remain hidden until their appointed time. Psychologically, silence gives you control. When you keep your plans to yourself, you retain power over your narrative. You are not influenced by external doubts, opinions, or expectations. You move with clarity, guided only by God's wisdom and direction. So how do we practice the power of silence? First, resist the urge to announce your plans. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Instead of seeking validation, seek confirmation through prayer. Proverbs 2:6 tells us, "For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding." Seek his wisdom before sharing anything with others. Second, surround yourself with people who respect silence, those who understand that not every idea needs to be discussed, not every step needs an audience. Be discerning about who you confide in. Proverbs 20:19 warns, "A gossip betrays a confidence, so avoid anyone who talks too much." Your destiny is too important to be left in the hands of careless talkers. Finally, trust in God's timing. Ecclesiastes 3:7 reminds us, "There is a time to be silent and a time to speak." When the right time comes, God will open the doors and the world will see the fruits of your labor. But until then, guard your plans with silence. There is strength in holding back. There is wisdom in waiting. And there is power in allowing God to work behind the scenes without interference. Because when you finally do speak, when your success is undeniable, your silence will have already done the work for you. Boasting feels good, at least for a moment. It gives us a sense of validation, a feeling that others recognize our achievements, our plans, or our success. But what if boasting is actually working against us? What if speaking too soon about our ambitions doesn't just invite envy and opposition, but also sets us up for failure? Proverbs 27:1 warns, "Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring." There is a deep wisdom in this verse. Boasting assumes control, but the truth is, we are not in control. Life is unpredictable, and the moment we start speaking as if we've already won, we risk losing sight of the very things that will get us there: humility, discipline, and faith. James 4:13-16 makes this even clearer. "Now listen, you who say, 'Today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money.' Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes." When we boast, we act as if we are the masters of our fate, forgetting that everything is ultimately in God's hands. C.S. Lewis wrote extensively about the dangers of pride, calling it the great sin. Boasting is a symptom of pride. It places our confidence in ourselves rather than in God. But beyond that, boasting also creates unnecessary resistance. When we publicly announce our goals and achievements, we invite opinions, expectations, and sometimes even sabotage. Think about the psychological impact of announcing something before it's done. Studies show that when we speak about our plans too soon, our brains release dopamine, the same chemical associated with achievement. In other words, we feel a sense of accomplishment before we've actually done the work. This can decrease our motivation, making us less likely to follow through. But beyond personal consequences, boasting also damages relationships. Philippians 2:3-4 reminds us, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves." Boasting shifts the focus onto ourselves, creating an environment of comparison rather than unity. It makes others feel inadequate, fostering jealousy and resentment. Look at the life of Jesus. Despite being the Son of God, he never boasted about his power. When he performed miracles, he often told people to remain silent about it. Mark 1:44. Why? Because true greatness does not need validation. His power was in his actions, not his words. So how do we avoid the trap of boasting? First, shift your mindset. Instead of seeking validation from people, seek approval from God. Galatians 1:10 challenges us, "Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ." Second, let your results speak for themselves. There is nothing wrong with celebrating achievements, but there is a difference between gratitude and pride. Proverbs 27:2 advises, "Let someone else praise you and not your own mouth, an outsider and not your own lips." Finally, embrace humility. Recognize that every success is a gift from God. 1 Corinthians 10:31 reminds us, "So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God." When we give credit to him, we protect ourselves from arrogance and ensure that our success is built on a foundation of faith. Boasting may feel good in the moment, but it robs us of the very things that lead to lasting success. By choosing silence, humility, and trust in God, we not only protect our ambitions but also align ourselves with a greater purpose, one that does not rely on human validation but on divine guidance. Words are powerful. They shape our thoughts, influence our emotions, and create the reality we live in. The Bible warns us repeatedly about the weight of our words, teaching that what we say has the ability to bring life or destruction. Proverbs 18:21 declares, "The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit." This means that our speech is not neutral. It either builds or tears down, strengthens or weakens, blesses or curses. Many people fail to realize how their words shape their future. They speak negatively about their own abilities, belittle their own dreams, and declare defeat before they even begin. But Jesus reminds us in Luke 6, verse 45, "A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart, for the mouth speaks what the heart is full of." Our words are a reflection of what is inside us. If we constantly speak failure, fear, or doubt, we reinforce those things in our lives. C.S. Lewis understood this well. He believed that much of the battle of life happens in our minds and hearts before it manifests in the world. If we allow negativity to dominate our speech, we are not just expressing our thoughts, we are shaping our circumstances. This is why guarding our words is crucial. We are either prophesying our success or speaking destruction over our own lives. Beyond self-sabotage, our words influence those around us. A single sentence can inspire hope or create discouragement. Proverbs 12:18 tells us, "The words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing." What we say to others has the power to lift them up or tear them down. A careless word can plant doubt, while a word of encouragement can spark confidence. In today's world, oversharing is normalized. Social media has made it easy for people to broadcast every detail of their lives, often without realizing the consequences. We speak too soon, revealing our plans before they are fully formed. But when we speak prematurely, we invite interference. Some will envy us, some will discourage us, others will even work against us. The Bible warns in Proverbs 20:19, "A gossip betrays a confidence, so avoid anyone who talks too much." Not everyone needs to know your plans. Even Jesus understood the importance of strategic silence. After performing miracles, he often instructed people to remain quiet. In Mark 1:44, after healing a man with leprosy, Jesus said, "See that you don't tell this to anyone." Why? Because premature exposure can hinder God's work. There is wisdom in waiting, in allowing things to unfold naturally before revealing them to the world. So how do we guard our words? First, practice restraint. Just because you have something to say doesn't mean you should say it. James 1:19 teaches, "Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." Second, pray for wisdom. Proverbs 2:6 reminds us, "For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding." Before speaking, ask if your words align with God's truth. Third, choose words that bring life. Speak encouragement over yourself and others. Be mindful of your words, because they shape not only your reality, but also the experiences of those around you. Your words are not just sounds, they are seeds. What you speak today will shape what you experience tomorrow. Guard your speech, choose words of faith, and allow God to direct your conversations. Because in the end, it is not just about what we say, it is about the impact those words have on our lives and the world around us. Gossip is destructive. It disguises itself as harmless conversation, but beneath the surface, it erodes trust, damages reputations, and creates division. The Bible warns repeatedly about the dangers of gossip because it not only harms others, but also corrupts the person spreading it. Proverbs 20:19 states, "A gossip betrays a confidence, so avoid anyone who talks too much." Words have weight, and once spoken, they cannot be taken back. What seems like casual chatter can leave lasting scars on someone's life. Gossip thrives on speculation and exaggeration. It rarely focuses on truth, but instead distorts facts to make stories more interesting. This is why Proverbs 16, verse 28 warns, A perverse person stirs up conflict, and a gossip separates close friends. It is not just the lies that hurt. Even when gossip is based on truth, it spreads information that was never meant to be shared. It betrays trust and sows discord. Friendships, families, and even entire communities have been destroyed by words spoken carelessly. C.S. Lewis spoke of the dangers of self-righteousness, warning that many people engage in gossip under the illusion of concern. They justify it by saying, "I'm only sharing this so we can pray for them." But in reality, it is not about prayer. It is about control, judgment, and the need to feel superior. Gossip often masks itself as righteousness, but at its core it is rooted in pride. Beyond gossip, negative influence is equally dangerous. Who we surround ourselves with shapes our character. 1 Corinthians 15 verse 33 reminds us, "Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character." Spending time with people who thrive on negativity, who constantly criticize, or who delight in the failures of others affects our own mindset. Even if we do not participate in gossip, simply listening to it allows toxic ideas to take root in our minds. Negativity spreads like a virus. It creates doubt, fosters insecurity, and makes us view the world through a lens of fear and cynicism. Proverbs 13:20 teaches, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm." The people we allow into our lives will either build us up or drag us down. We must be intentional about who we listen to and whose words we allow to influence our thinking. Jesus modeled the power of silence and discernment. When he was falsely accused, he did not defend himself with gossip or retaliation. Instead, he remained silent before his accusers. Matthew 27 verse 12. His strength was not in arguing, but in his unshakable confidence in the truth. If Jesus himself resisted the temptation to engage in idle words, how much more should we be cautious with our speech? So how do we protect ourselves from gossip and negative influences? First, be intentional with your words. Proverbs 10:19 advises, "Sin is not ended by multiplying words, but the prudent hold their tongues." If a conversation starts turning into gossip, redirect it or remove yourself. Second, refuse to entertain negativity. Do not allow yourself to be a dumping ground for others' complaints and bitterness. Instead, speak life. Ephesians 4:29 instructs, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up." Third, choose relationships wisely. Surround yourself with people who uplift, encourage, and inspire you to be better. Gossip and negativity may seem small, but they have the power to destroy. They steal joy, weaken faith, and create division where there should be unity. The solution is simple, but not always easy. Guard your words, protect your heart, and seek wisdom. In doing so, you will cultivate a life filled with peace, trust, and integrity, one where your words bring healing rather than harm. Humility is often misunderstood. In a world that glorifies self-promotion, ambition, and personal achievement, humility is seen as weakness. But in reality, humility is one of the greatest strengths a person can possess. The Bible repeatedly teaches that true success is not measured by status or wealth, but by a heart that remains humble before God. Proverbs 22:4 states, "Humility is the fear of the Lord. Its wages are riches and honor and life." When we embrace humility, we align ourselves with God's purpose, allowing him to exalt us in his perfect time. Many believe that success comes from self-confidence and aggressive ambition, but James 4:10 reminds us, "Humble yourselves before the Lord and he will lift you up." This verse reveals a key truth. True success is not about forcing our way to the top, but about allowing God to guide our steps. C.S. Lewis once said, "Humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less." A humble person does not deny their abilities or accomplishments. They simply recognize that all good things come from God, not from their own strength. Pride, on the other hand, is dangerous. It distorts reality, making us believe that we are self-sufficient, that we alone are responsible for our achievements. Proverbs 16:18 warns, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." History is filled with examples of people who achieved great things, only to lose everything because of arrogance. Success built on pride is fragile. It cannot withstand challenges or failure. But success built on humility is enduring because it is rooted in wisdom and grace. Jesus himself was the ultimate example of humility. Despite being the Son of God, he chose to serve rather than to be served. Philippians 2:3-8 teaches, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. He made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant." Jesus showed that the path to true greatness is found not in exalting ourselves, but in serving others. The most successful leaders are those who put people first, who lead with compassion and integrity rather than arrogance and self-interest. Psychologically, humility allows for growth. When we are humble, we remain teachable. We acknowledge that we don't have all the answers, and we are willing to learn from others. Proverbs 11:2 tells us, "When pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom." A humble person seeks wisdom, welcomes constructive criticism, and constantly strives to improve. In contrast, a prideful person believes they have already arrived, rejecting feedback and refusing to change. Humility also fosters strong relationships. People are naturally drawn to those who are humble, who listen more than they speak, who uplift others instead of seeking attention for themselves. Proverbs 27:2 advises, "Let someone else praise you and not your own mouth, an outsider and not your own lips." A humble person does not seek validation through boasting. Instead, they let their character and actions speak for them. When we practice humility, we build trust, deepen connections, and earn the respect of those around us. So how do we cultivate humility? First, acknowledge God as the source of all success. 1 Corinthians 10:31 reminds us, "So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God." Recognize that every talent, opportunity, and blessing comes from Him. Second, shift your focus from self-promotion to service. Jesus said in Mark 10:43-45, "Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant." True success is measured by how we serve others, not by how much we achieve for ourselves. Third, stay teachable. No matter how much we accomplish, there is always more to learn. Surround yourself with wise mentors, seek knowledge, and remain open to growth. Success without humility is empty. It leads to isolation, dissatisfaction, and ultimately downfall. But when humility is the foundation of our success, we experience true fulfillment. We grow in wisdom, build meaningful relationships, and allow God to work through us in ways beyond what we could ever achieve on our own. Humility is not weakness. It is the secret to lasting success, a success that honors God and blesses those around us. Timing is everything. We live in a world that values instant results, immediate success, and quick gratification. When we want something, we want it now. But God operates on a different timeline, one that is far greater than our own. Proverbs 16:3 reminds us, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." Trusting divine timing means surrendering our need for control and allowing God to unfold His plan in His perfect way. One of the greatest struggles in life is patience, waiting when we don't understand why things are delayed. We see others advancing, achieving their dreams, while we feel stuck. But James 4:13-14 warns us against assuming we have control over time. "Now listen, you who say, 'Today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business and make money.' Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow." We don't see the full picture, but God does. Every delay, every closed door, every unexpected turn is part of a divine design meant to prepare us for what's ahead. C.S. Lewis once wrote, "I am sure that God keeps no one waiting unless He sees that it is good for him to wait." Waiting refines us. It builds character, teaches endurance, and strengthens our faith. When things come too easily, we don't appreciate them. When they require perseverance, we grow into the person who is truly ready to receive the blessing. The Bible gives countless examples of God's perfect timing. Abraham and Sarah waited decades for a child, trusting God's promise despite their old age. Joseph spent years in prison before rising to power in Egypt. David was anointed king but had to wait before taking the throne. Each of these figures faced delays that seemed unfair. But in the end, God's plan was greater than anything they could have imagined. Isaiah 60:22 reassures us, "When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen." The danger of impatience is that it can lead us to take matters into our own hands. We rush into decisions, force relationships, and settle for less than God's best. But Proverbs 3:5-6 instructs us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." When we try to control the outcome, we interfere with God's greater plan. But when we trust his timing, we step into blessings that far exceed our expectations. Even Jesus, the Son of God, understood divine timing. He often withdrew to pray, waiting for the Father's direction before making a move. When his disciples urged him to reveal his power early, he responded in John 7:6, "My time has not yet come." He knew that rushing ahead of God's plan would not fulfill the mission in the way it was meant to. His obedience to divine timing led to the ultimate fulfillment of God's promise, salvation for the world. So how do we trust God's timing when we feel impatient? First, surrender control. Remind yourself that God's plan is always better than yours, even when you don't see it yet. Second, focus on preparation. Instead of waiting passively, use the time to grow in wisdom, skill, and faith. Third, remain faithful. Keep praying, keep believing, and keep moving forward with trust, knowing that God never delays without purpose. Waiting is not wasted time. It is a season of refinement, a time when God is working behind the scenes, aligning circumstances in ways we cannot yet see. Ecclesiastes 3:11 assures us, "He has made everything beautiful in its time." When we trust divine timing, we let go of frustration and embrace the peace that comes from knowing that when God moves, it will be far greater than anything we could have orchestrated on our own. Everything we've discussed comes down to one simple truth. God's way is always better than our own. Whether it's learning to guard our words, resisting the temptation to boast, avoiding gossip, embracing humility, or trusting divine timing, the key to a fulfilling life is surrendering control and allowing God to lead. Proverbs 3:5-6 reminds us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." When we trust God, truly trust him, we stop rushing ahead, stop seeking validation from others, and stop speaking before the right time. Instead, we walk in wisdom, humility, and patience, allowing his perfect timing to bring his perfect plans to life. C.S. Lewis once said, "There are no ordinary people. You have never talked to a mere mortal." That means every interaction, every word, and every moment has significance. What you say and how you carry yourself shapes your destiny. So, take a moment and reflect. Where in your life do you need to trust God more? Where do you need to be silent? Where do you need to step back and let him work? Comment below. What is one lesson from this message that resonated with you? And if this spoke to your heart, share it with someone who needs this reminder today. Because when we let go and trust him fully, we will see his plans unfold in ways beyond what we could ever imagine.